Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, indeed, it's the eve of the big day. All eyes focusing on that big day, as a matter of fact. Well, we'll continue our focus on that. We're joined now by Mr. Sam Ikoku, who is a productivity consultant. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
You know, lots of people have been talking about what they think, how they, the kind of things they expect the incoming government to do. A lot more people, they expect them to hit the ground running, but looking at the entire scenario, from what you've seen, especially the build-up to this day, we're just recovering, getting back to our normal lives following this shortage of fuel and diesel supply, as a matter of fact. From your perspective, how do you think that they're going to handle the expectations that Nigerians have for them?
Well, first of all, I must say thank you for having me on the program. It's a challenging time for the country. The new administration is inheriting a lot of problems. Nigerians know that. But that's exactly why Nigerians have voted them in, because Nigerians want things to happen. What's critical at this point in time is not to focus on the problems, but to focus on the solution. What is this administration going to do? They are Nigerians. They knew we had problems. They probably thought of solutions. Now it's time for them to put it in place. The critical part we have to play, all of us, is to give them the opportunity to do so. This is not the time to second guess them. It's not a time to want them to do it our way. Let's not forget that the 100 days thing is just popular psychology. It's not in the Constitution.
But it's going to be very significant.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't fix any significant kind of problem in 100 days, especially not Nigeria's problem. But in 100 days, we expect to see a direction. We expect to see some sort of consistency. We expect to see in the choices of people, in the choices of policy, in the utterances, what to expect for the next 4 years. Critically for me is to have one voice. To overcome a party that's been in power for so many years, like the PDP, meant there was a lot of buck trading, a lot of coming together of different groups to create a viable opposition, which is now in office. Every one of those groups is going to want to have something to say. The important thing is they should do all their speaking before the 100 days is over, so we can have one voice.
But you know, let me jump in and pardon me for that. The thing about this is it's kind of different in so many ways. First time transition from one political party to the other, and then it's also first time an incumbent losing an election. But do you think that Nigerians will be able to appreciate the fact that, look, this is coming with its own challenges? Yes, that's the reason why they were voted into the office, that notwithstanding. But remember, now 4 years, before you know what's happening, after 2 years, they're planning for the next elections. I remember asking a former politician, I think he still is, why is it that when you guys win an election, the next thing is you're planning the next one, how to win? So they may have 4 years, but there's so many things that they have to do in a short time.
Yes, very true. And that's why we should go away from just hyperbole and just talking and start looking at specifics. They've made some campaign promises, which are very good: security, education, job creation, and so on. Now we need to go into the brass tacks. They have to hit the ground running. My personal suggestion is they should take the first week off.
The first week off?
Yes. They go away on a retreat and get to know themselves. What does the president want? What does he expect? He's the moral authority of the party, but there are technocrats involved. How is he going to go? What's going to be our common theme for the next 4 years? What's going to be the words we speak? How are we going to respond? How are we going to judge performance? How are we going to do all of that stuff? And then look at their plans for all of those specific areas they've made promises, and keep the Nigerian public informed on a daily basis. This is the important
That's
thing.
key.
Absolutely.
You say on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a lot.
Yes.
And if we try to look at some of the specifics you talked about, you see that we have a gamut of issues to talk about.
Yeah.
And I doubt if there will be enough time for us to look at them sector by sector.
Yeah.
But there's always been a talk about strengthening institution, and we'll always talk about reforms. It's not as if we don't understand that there's a problem with some of these institutions and how we can strengthen them. And if we say we're looking out for results, or what would you be saying if we're trying to bring such into focus?
Well, I'm very happy about this question because, and that's a good thing, Channels has been setting the agenda, asking the really important questions. Everyone knows the public service and the institutions they drive have needed to be changed for a long time. That's the reason why the Bureau of Public Service Reforms was brought in. Unfortunately for us, we brought in civil servants to try and change the civil service. What needs to do, you can't, a snail cannot teach other snails how to be a sports car. That's not going to happen. The civil service has to change, and it's changing. They're having exams for their directors, they're expecting more things, and so on and so forth. The government on its own must immediately remove the overlaps that are there. Take, for example, in aviation, about five agencies or so in aviation, 3 of them overlap. You've got to strengthen these institutions, first by going back to their mandate, the decree that set them up, streamlining everything, testing for ecology, making sure they're not stepping on each other's toes, making sure that energy is not being wasted in internal fighting instead of serving the public.
Yeah, because the key thing in the aviation sector is service delivery.
Absolutely.
And that seems to be taken for granted, I stand corrected, in so many respects.
Well, they're working on it, but they should work a little bit harder. I think one of the ways to strengthen institutions is to go right in at institutional level, rather than waiting for an overarching policy. And at institutional level, begin to look at realigning their policies, their culture, their processes, their mandate delivery, and so on and so forth. While the bigger issues are being done, we can begin to get results in as soon as a month or 2 if we can begin to do a rapid realignment of these institutions on the inside. And I think this government should consider that.
You know, the other thing about this is they may have all those policy, strategy sessions, what they need to do, how they need to implement them. But ultimately, from the get-go, Nigerians, in fact, on the streets, people want to begin to feel the impact.
Well, on the street, we've suffered a lot. We've suffered a lot. I mean, no power, no water, no transport. We want a Messiah. But we have to be realistic. Otherwise, we'll just set ourselves up for further failure. We have to give them some time. If you notice that someone is in the right direction, you encourage them. You've been here before. You've been here for the past how many years? So give them a little bit of time to get things right.
What are the determining factors for us or indications to see that, okay, they are on the right track?
First of all, pick the right people. We're tired of recycling old politicians, for example. I mean, what have they brought to the table? With all due respect, they might have experience, but if experience cannot translate into results, then we don't want that. We want results. Look for technocrats. Put sportsmen in the sports ministry. Put medical doctors in health. Put the right people in the right place. Put tested, proven, honest, consistent, hardworking people who want to serve the people. There are people who are called, and there are people who just think politics is a career. We need people who are called. We need people who are as consistent as Mr. President-elect has been. We need people who are open to criticism, who are ready to listen, people who are ready to mix with the people and ask questions directly. There was a minister that's outgoing that said his directors lied to him. I mean, what does that mean? What do you mean, my directors lied to me? What have you been doing? So we want to see, Nigerians want to see serious-minded people in office. We want to see a police that works. We want to see security that we can feel. We want to go away from statistics, 20% growth in the economy. Who cares if I can't pay my bills?
You see,
We want